You are listening to a MetalExpressRadio.com interview. Enjoy.
Bobby from Overkill, thank you very much for seeing Metal Express Radio again. I mean, it's been 20 years since the last time we talked, when you released the Necroshine album in 99.
99.
Time flies, right?
20 years ago. Holy smoke. Must mean I'm old.
Me too. You're currently promoting your new album, The Wings of War. That's your 19th album.
Yeah.
You keep on belting out new great albums every 2 or 3 years. What's the inspiration these days? Are you still that exciting when you're releasing new albums as you were before?
I think for sure. I mean, I think the proof of that is just press play. You know, I mean, it's not about talking it; it's about hearing it. I think, you know, I always think that working in a routine or working on a clock for us has always helped us because it's kept us visible. Release or promote, write, promote, release, tour, write, promote, release, tour, and I think that becomes inspiring in itself because we know what to do. It's not like we're waiting for some deep dark tragedy to go out and write about. We're just writing about what we enjoy, and probably what we enjoy the most are the principles we've learned in this band, which becomes the inspiration. So I think that, you know, doing 19 records and still having you know, a snap to it, still having you know, a youthful, vital feel, becomes inspiring because it makes us relevant in the present day, as opposed to saying, oh, we were relevant in the past, but now we're just a novelty act releasing a record. So I think that becomes inspiring by itself.
Your last album, the Grinding Wheel, was just a top-notch thrash album. Do you feel that you have to make it even better, or do you just enter the studio to make as a good album as you can?
I think that what we try to do, I mean, I think it's, you never compare it to what's before. The only reason I ever go back to the Grinding Wheels to not repeat myself with regard to what the lyrics were going to be, what the vocal lines are going to be. And that's the way I look at it. But I think we're also opportunists. If an opportunity arises, you make the most out of the opportunity. So it's not about saying, oh, it has to be better than the Grinding Wheel. It just has to be different and as good as we can make it. And I think with those as, let's say, the inspirational factors, you can get good results record after record. And I think that we're in that groove at this particular time.
When it comes to using the opportunities, I mean, you've been recording albums since the 80s, and now you can record albums in a quite different way than before. Do you still do it the same way, you guys in the studio jamming out, or do you send files to each other and work at home instead?
Oh, well, we're obviously old school guys. You know, I mean, OMG, old metal guy, Union 666, local. So what we know is where we start, and that's, for instance, in the room. You know, physical presence of people, jamming out some riffs that Dee Dee Verney came up with, trying to expand those into full songs. But then we incorporate kind of the modern era into it. Once it's a skeletal song, then we're trading files back and forth. Jason Bittner was instrumental in day after day changing parts, sending new files. This is my 8th take of Head of a Pin, you know, for instance, like that. So I think that we are a combination of both, but I think it's necessary that we split a pizza, a 6-pack, and be in the same room, and then afterwards share the files.
So when the album is out, before you could call the label and ask how many CDs or vinyls did you ship last week. It's not like that anymore with the streaming and stuff. Of course, now you can read the reviews right away on the net. So that's something completely different. How do you feel about that after the album has been released?
You know, I think that one of the things with the modern era, I mean, instant information is great, and I don't think we can live without it. You know, I mean, I mean, obviously I use it, and we're not dinosaurs with regard to not embracing what the social media, for instance, can do for us, and whatever reviews may be on there, how we can promote ourselves on it. But on a personal level, I fucking hate it. I mean, I'm more of a handshaker, and I'll meet you at the bar. You know, if I want to talk to you, I have your phone number. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to give you a thumbs up, a post, and a like. You know what I mean? If I like you, you're gonna know it. So I think I'm a combination of that. But I do think that the difference between sure, we can reach more people with regard to instant information, but there was something really mystical, magical about the old school or the old days, because there was time in between where your anticipation could grow. You could say, "Here comes the record," and you'd be reading it in Kerrang, or you'd be reading it in Metal Forces or something, and say, "Oh shit, there's going to be a new Overkill record or a new Testament or Exodus record in 6 months." But you're not getting updates on it on a continuous basis, which is necessary today. So the magic of the mystique is gone. Everyone is fully exposed. So when that record came out back then, it was like, oh my God. Or you could be disappointed, right? Like, holy shit, I waited for this for 6 months. Now you don't have to wait for anything. Honestly, I prefer the old days because I like, I equate all music to my Alice Cooper records, to my Lou Reed's Rock and Roll Animal when it was coming out, to Sabbath records, and it was like, I gotta get this fucking thing, and it was a different way of promoting and a different way of sharing information.
Talking of different way of promoting albums, you did this documentary series, I guess through your label. It was posted on YouTube. It was great entertainment. Was that your idea or was it the label's idea?
Well, that was ours. They wanted us to fly to Los Angeles and sit in front of a green screen and answer questions on how we made the record. What inspired this song. I said, doesn't everybody fucking do that? Well, I said, listen, we got a great song on here. It's real punky called Welcome to the Garden State, which we know is going to be a staple in our set for the rest of the years to come, whatever they are for us. I said, why don't you send the crew out here? It'll save you half the money. All right, and we'll figure out a great spot where we recorded the drums. We'll get some shots of the beach and the boardwalk and the places we knew when we were kids, and be able to convey a realism as opposed to green screen modern technology. So maybe this answer is a little bit about the prior answer I just gave you about who cares about Facebook, in my opinion. And I said, how fucking great would it be to send these guys to New Jersey and then get that stink on that documentary? So yeah, it was our idea, not theirs.
Okay. Will that be released as one episode sometime, or now it's bits and pieces?
I think now we have it set up now that if you play episode 1, it simultaneously goes from 1 all the way through 8.
Okay.
But it might be fun to release somewhere as a download if you wanted it at home. I don't think it's going to be anything you ever go back to. But I think if you were a big fan of this band, it's something that you really want to possess and own because you get to know us. I mean, and I think that one of the cool things about doing interviews like that, this band has a lot of fun with each other, and I think that's obvious. It's not about, sure, it's about the business. We understand positive cash flow. We understand having great guys working for us that are going to keep things together so we can continue to do what we enjoy. And I think that Welcome to the Garden State documentary showed that we were guys that do this because we like doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. After 19 albums, you have, I don't know how many songs to choose from when you're setting up the set list, and you have a lot of classics you have to play as well, but you're here to promote the new album. Is it hard to pick the tracks for a gig like this tonight?
Well, it's 5 classics. It's always going to be 3, 4, 5 new ones. So there's already 2/3 of the set, or we're coming close to it, and then we get selfish with 5. Yeah. Who cares what they think? Let's play what we like. So we put Necroshine back in from 20 years ago. Yeah. We thought WFO was always a good release of ours. So Bastard Nation got back into the set under 1. There's been, just in recent times, Evil Never Dies in and out of the set, or Who Tends the Fire from Years of Decay. So, I mean, these are some hidden kind of tracks that, that we say, hey, we had a good time at that time. And as soon as you play that song, immediately you equate that era into your head, And, so WFO, I was probably 40 or something when it was written. I was 94, so I was 94. Oh, I was 35 when it was written. So it was fucking great. You know what I mean? I'm like, in my head, I'm 35 singing this song, not 59.
You still had to go back and look up the lyrics again, or?
Occasionally I have to, but there's ones that have always stuck with me. If they were in the set before, usually I don't have to.
No.
If they were something that's real hidden, like we never played Who Tends the Fire live, or maybe once or twice in the early days. But when we added it to the set, I had to go over it, and I had to go to YouTube to get it. So I do use the technology.
You're touring a lot these days. You've been in Europe, now you're touring the US, and I think you're going back to Europe. What is life on the road like compared to back in the days? Did you still like it?
You know, there was somebody asked me this. What's the difference between then and now? I said, then I would get off the bus, I'd have a beer in each hand. I'd kick the door open and I'd have a hard-on and say, where's the dressing room? Now I have a cup of coffee and I'm looking for a clean toilet. That's the only difference. Everything else is exactly the same.
But you still enjoy it.
Well, you know what it is, and I think you saw it in the documentary, is you know, we don't spend a lot of time with each other outside of the band. So it's kind of, you know, for us, it's really kind of a middle-aged boys club. You know, there's a lot of fucking ball busting out here. I mean, and it's fun to be able to say, I got a smooth running business and can be relaxed enough to look forward to spending 3-4 weeks with these dudes, because somebody's going to be playing a practical joke every day on somebody else. And that to me is priceless. These are, you know, it's not, oh, that's juvenile, you know, we should be mature. It's like, no, definitely put that shit in his shampoo. Definitely. I remember we had the light guy a couple of tours ago. A guy was named Big E, and I ran into one of the light man who was doing Dimmu. Oh God, what's his name? Magnus, and he lived in Norway. And he was telling me some of the pranks that he would do, and I was like, "That's fucking great." So I started recording his pranks, right? And he would take the bouillon, like the Maggie, and he would put it. He'd get into somebody's room and he'd put it into the shower head, right? So when the guy showers, he's showering with, like, you know, fish sauce or so here I am. I walk up to the hotel desk and I say, "Hi, I'm Eric Dubiel, and I lost my key." And I have all these, like, fish cubes in my head. I'm in his shower chair. I'm in the house. I'm like 55. So, yes, we have fun.
It sounds like your next release should be a book.
You see, I would never write about the bullshit, though. I would only write about the stuff that made us happy, you know, the kind of, well, it made us the people we are, put it that way. Immature.
Next year, it's 35 years since you released your debut album.
Okay.
Have you been planning an anniversary for that?
Not specifically. I mean, you know, we kind of like living in the day. I mean, we just recorded Feel the Fire over in Germany. Did a live show, Feel the Fire and Horoscope, in one night. Because we were contracted to do a DVD, and they said, "What about one of the old records?" And I said, "What about two?" I said, "Everybody does one. Maybe we should do two. You know,
Yeah.
we'll pick the short one, which is Feel the Fire at 30 years, and Horoscope, which is 25 years at that point." But I'm not really thinking in those terms. You know, I mean, I'm sure there'll be some kind of private celebrations for it, but not something that is going to take away from this record, Wings of War.